Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you early this afternoon, going into afternoon time, of course, for another album review. And sorry that I couldn't do it sooner. I just had to listen to this and make some lunch as well while listening to this album. But this is for a new album that came out on January 14th for Pridelands' new album, Light Bends, that I just got done listening to. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for this Light Ben's Pridelands album and let you know my thoughts on it. So let's dive into this review. Now they're a progressive metalcore band, but with what I heard from this debut studio album of theirs, which this is their first album, it's pretty good. It's just there are a lot of melodic moments in this album and very mellow moments in the album where you don't know if you're gonna like it or not. But with the screams that the lead singer does, which you'll have to remind me his name in the comment section below, I'm vague. I'm fairly new to this band, so I just got into them and I downloaded their album, I think yesterday or so, and I did enjoy this album. It was pretty good. So I Reach Into Your Heart was not a bad song. It's solid. It starts with very mellow, clean sings. Very melodic, clean sings from the lead singer. But it's not so bad. So then the screams come in closer to the end of the track, and I think that's where it's at its best. But for what it went for, I guess the song's alright. So 4.5 out of 5 for me. The Walls was a pretty outstanding song. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it at first, like I said. Um, there were some songs on this album that made me feel disconnected from what the album was trying to sound like and what it was going for. But The Walls was a pretty good song. So this is an album I'm going to have to listen to a few more times to see if it's going to grow on me. But The Walls I'll give a 5 out of 5. Parallel Lines is a really good song. Really like that about the song. It's just the heaviness and the drum work, guitar work, and some of the screams from the lead singer are pretty good. But he does use a lot of clean vocals in majority of this album. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is as long as it sounds good. But I didn't find a lot of great bangers on this album. Found a lot of melodic moments on this album, and that's the reason why this rating of the album is gonna get a pretty good rating, but still have my concerns with how this album's sounding. Safer Here was not a bad song, it just was mellow until closer to the end of the track. That's when the screams come in. Heavy Tongue, I found that to be a banger at times, but there was still clean sings along with the screams in the background, which didn't sound so bad, so 5 out of 5. Antipathy, Antipathy, I believe is what it's called, uh, is a pretty good song. 5 out of 5 for me on that one. Translucent Blues, I really enjoyed. That was a great song. It's 4 minutes and 25 seconds, but it's pretty enjoyable. I forgot to mention the other tracks before that. Parted Time was a pretty good song. I really enjoyed that one, so 5 out of 5. The Lake of Twisted Limbs. The screams are pretty good from the lead singer, but there are a lot of melodic moments in this album with his clean sings, like meaning mellow moments. And that can be a problem with how the record's going to sound and how it's going to execute, because metalcore is meant to be just plain screams. And yeah, sings are important for this album. Sorry, my throat got congested and scratchy too. So sorry for coughing. Evergrowth was another mellow track until the end of the song, and that's when I'm like, this album's just, it's hard to describe this album because I don't know how I feel about this album, but the execution was pretty good, so I'll give him that. The Sun Will Find Us was probably the best song you're gonna find on this album. Probably one of the favorite songs. I think this, Translucent Blues, Heavy Tongue, The Lake of Twisted Limbs, and some other tracks. There's a few other tracks that were pretty good. So 8 out of 11 songs were pretty good. And the other 3 were kind of misses. They were my least favorites. So overall, production, mixing, and execution, I think this album has potential. And it's an album I'm gonna have to come back to a few more times to see if the songs connect with me very well. But overall, I think Pridelands' Light Bends album was a pretty good listen. It's more melodic metalcore stuff. They have some screams from time to time in the majority of this album, but it lacks some authenticity and just the execution for how the songs are sounding with his clean vocals. It just makes the album seem like it's a slugfest to get through. Uh, Not saying that in a bad way, just saying it's hard to decide pretty much if you like it or not. But for a score, I'm going to give Pridelands' new album, Light Bends, an 8.5 out of 10. It is a pretty good album. That I can assure you. I highly recommend you check this out, but be wary. There are a lot of melodic, clean sings and some melodic metalcore stuff in it too with his screams. So it's not as heavy as you're gonna expect it to be. But if you're fans of Architects and all that, you're gonna like this album because they are an Australian metalcore band. So yeah, they still did pretty good for what they did with this debut album. So I'll give them an 8.5 out of 10 for this debut album of theirs. Comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of the Pridelands' new album, Light Bends, if you've heard it. And if you enjoyed this album review I made for you guys this afternoon, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can, support the channel. I will be returning to you for another review. It's probably going to be a movie review, most likely. I do have to go to the doctor's or whatever, to my doctor's appointment this afternoon, so I'm going to be a little busy around 4 o'clock, so I won't be able to make videos around then. But I'll keep you posted on what movie review is going to be next. It's either going to be Sing 2, Nightmare Alley, or whichever movie I decide to review. Maybe West Side Story, but that movie's like over 2.5 hours, so it's pretty long. I didn't hate this album. I just think it's not. It is a pretty good album. That's all I can say. And I don't want to come off being negative and other people saying, oh, well, this is their best album. It's a pretty good album. It isn't a really good album, or it's not good enough to give a 9 or 9.5. But it is a pretty good listen. That's for sure. I'll give him that. So, that's just my opinion at the end of the day. You don't have to agree with me on it. It's just how I felt when I was listening to Pridelands' new album, Light Bends. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this lengthy album review for Pridelands life bends. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. Stay safe, take care, and as always, I'll see you in my next review.